Hello everybody, today's video is a monthly favourite. You know how these goes, you've seen them all before. I haven't done one for a while, I just felt like sharing some things with you. So here we go. The first thing on my list is represented by this here glass bottle. Now you may know, if you watched my first video of the year, one of my big things this year is to reduce my carbon footprint. So I'm having solar panels on my roof. I still haven't done that yet. I've been talking to a guy about getting it sorted and he just hasn't replied to my emails. So today, actually, I'm going to find a new guy who will just do it ASAP. But I'm going to start driving an electric car when I can. I'm just sort of turning off light switches and making sure things are turned off at the plugs and stuff. Little things like that can make a big difference. But one thing I have struggled with is reducing the amount of plastic I use, just because it is so ingrained in my everyday life that it takes a real conscious effort to think about it. An easy step for me has been to stop buying bottles of water everywhere. So I always have a backpack on me. And I fill it with snacks, and I've also got a camera in there and my laptop and stuff, but I never took water with me, I just bought it from the shop. So I have a few bottles now. I've got a bottle here in my office, I've got one at my house. I just fill up the water from wherever I am and I take it with me and I just find a tap and put more water in it. Single-use plastics is one of society's worst things, I think. It's awful for the environment, it's awful for like the ecosystem, and it's one of those things that we can cut out. I also think that companies, brands, supermarkets need to make an effort on their end too. The other day I walked into a shop and I saw satsumas that had been peeled and then put into like a plastic packaging thing, which boggles my mind. Satsumas have evolved over millions and millions of years to have a breathable packaging that is part of them, it's their skin. And then for you to take that skin off and put it in a big sweaty plastic pot just makes absolutely no sense. So things like that need to stop. But we can all do our bit by just using less plastic. I know it's a bit preachy, but it's something I'm really passionate about. Moving on to books, I have two books to talk about. The first of which is the one that I finished, so I'll talk about this one first. This is called Other Minds, and it is just so fascinating. So octopuses are actually very smart, much smarter than people give them credit for. But because our nearest common ancestor goes way back, so the Cambrian explosion was sort of like, I think, 500 million years ago, and that's when life first started getting complex. Before then, it just consisted of like sludge and bacteria and like single-celled organisms and stuff. At some point, life started getting a bit more complex, and we had this sort of weird wormy type thing which had no spine and just basically was made of like nerves, and that was about it really. Now at some point that's our last common ancestor, so at some point that kind of separated into vertebrates and into arthropods and into mollusks. And octopuses are mollusks, but because they've had all that time in a very different environment, they've kind of evolve intelligence in such a different way, and it's so clever, but it's almost like we can't see it because we're so used to thinking that if you work in this way and you use your hands like that, then you're smart. But actually octopuses don't have hands, they've got arms, and I'm not explaining it very well, but it's really worth the read, it's so fascinating. The other book on my list is this. I'm sure you'll have heard of this at least. It's called Sapiens, and it's been like #1 bestseller for a long time, but it is so interesting. So you might not know this about me, I have a degree in psychology. For the most part, didn't really enjoy it, but my favourite module was Evolutionary Psychology. It kind of explains how we became who we are and why we are where we are in the world. And you know what? To begin with, we were just another ape. There wasn't much differentiating us to chimpanzees and stuff. We weren't particularly successful as a species. And there were a bunch of human species. We had Neanderthals and you had like loads of other kind of different humans. But for some reason, we're the ones that shine through. And this book explains why that is. Now, I kind of knew enough of this from my degree, but this goes into much more detail, and it is just so fascinating. It also makes you have a healthy dislike for the human race, because as a species, we just consume and consume and consume, and we kill and we destroy to make our lives easier, because, you know, that's just nature. You know, if rhinos were intelligent, they'd do the same thing, because it's just it's kind of ingrained in us to be successful as a species. However, we're now intelligent enough to be able to look back at that and realise it, and hopefully in the future make changes. And this book is just so interesting, and I think that if you're a human being, which I'm guessing you probably are, you should totally read it, because this is your lineage right here, and also it goes into your future as well. it's such a good read. Moving on to my next thing, I have kind of like 3 favourites in one. I went to the Baftas last week, and I am lucky enough that I get invited to a lot of events and things, but for me the Baftas is always one of my favourites. I love film. You might not know this, I've just finished writing my first screenplay. I just think there's something about going to the Baftas and seeing so many great movies winning things and hearing the stories of the people who wrote it, people who acted in it, people who produced it. It's something that just gets you really excited about the industry. So I had actually, as it happened, just finished writing my screenplay the day of the Baftas, and as soon as I was there, you just get a real buzz about it, and now I'm so excited to try and make that film become a reality. I've got no idea how that happens, but you know, I'm really hoping that I can at least get it in front of people who will read it and say, right, yeah, okay, we can work on this. Anyway, that was great. And my 2 favourite films were 3 Billboards, which is absolutely spectacular. It had the potential to be really depressing, and it's quite a dark, it's quite an angry film, but it's also very funny, and it tackles a very tough topic in a beautiful way. And the other film I really enjoyed was The Shape of Water, because again, it kind of like it's almost like a superhero film, but not. I took my brother-in-law, who's 16, with me, because it's got like a big fish man in it. I took him and told him it was a superhero film. It isn't, it's a love story, but it's just so beautiful, and it just shows that love can transcend, and it also shows that actually monsters don't always look the way you might think. You know, the big villain in this is a human, and it just kind of, I think it's very interesting. Some fashion-y bits now. You might know this, back in January I worked with Percival, which is a very cool British brand, where everything is made in London, and a brand that I really respect. Chris, who is Mr. Percival, got in touch with me and asked if I wanted to design for him. So I designed 2 items. We have this corduroy layer here, which is in a beautiful sort of rust colour, with nice details. Like we've got the welt on the pocket in the navy blue, and the undercollar is also blue too. And you can wear it on your own. You can wear it with a t-shirt like this, or you can put something a bit thicker under it, like a roll neck or something, or you can combine the 2 items together. The other item is a single-breasted peacoat with a sheepskin collar, and it's again really beautiful and a real staple. Both the items look great on their own, but also great together, and will last you for so long, and are sort of like staples in your wardrobe. So I don't know if there's any or if there's many left, but I'll put a link down there and you can check it out, because we made a small batch of, I think, 30 of each item. But I went to the factory and I saw them get made, and it was a real cool experience for me, and I think the items I kind of created are beautiful. Again, if you watched my first video of the year, you'll know that my other New Year's resolution was to take more photos. I'm obsessed with cameras, but I spend so much time filming stuff, I never actually take shots. So, behind me, you can kind of just see the corner of it, I've been taking a bunch of photos. And they're looking really good. I have 2 cameras that I've been using. So obviously I've been using my actual DSLR2, which I'm filming on now, which is the Sony A7R3. I also have these 2 here. This one here is the Olympus OM1, which is actually just incredible, and you get a beautiful shot with it. It is from, I think this was from like the 70s, so it's quite old now, but it just is amazing. And then I have this one here, which is the Leica M6, and this is from the 90s. And it was a real investment. These things still go for about £1,000, but they take such an incredible shot that for me it's totally worth the investment. Not easy to use though. This is what's called a rangefinder. So whereas most cameras you look through the viewfinder and you basically see what the lens sees, so you can adjust your depth of field and you can see what's in focus and what's not. This one, pretty tricky. So you look through the viewfinder here, but you're not looking through the lens, you're looking straight through this hole. So actually your shot is always a little bit off because you're looking through here when actually your shot is through here. And it's also quite tricky to focus because what you get is sort of like 2 images overlaid, and you have to make them sort of line up, and it's quite a learning curve. And actually my first roll of film, I think I missed basically 30% of the shots, and they would have been lovely if they were in focus, but they just weren't. However, when you get it right and when you practice enough with it, it is just really, really beautiful. So I am trying my best at the moment to just have at least one of these cameras with me at all times. I've always got my SLR with me, so that's kind of pretty easy, you know, but it's quite nice to have one of these with you, and just get something that, you know, it has a really lovely feel about it shooting on film. It's different to shooting on digital, and you get what you get, you know, like you can't take it into Photoshop or into Lightroom and have a fiddle with it. It is what it is, and it's like a real moment in time, and I love that. I got some new earphones. So I have the Apple are they called the AirPods? I forget what they are now, you know those little ones. They're great, and I bought them when I was still using an iPhone, but actually I've migrated now onto Android and they just do not play ball together. And I tried. You can get the music playing, but it drops out quite a lot and you lose a lot of the functions, like you can't skip track by kind of tapping or sliding and change the volume and everything. And it was really annoying. So when I was like working out, for example, I had to keep going back to my phone and then reconnecting. It was a nightmare. So I invested in these. These are by Bang & Olufsen, and I think they're called the E8 Play, and they're like truly wireless earphones. So you kind of sync them to your phone really easy. You can use them on Apple or Android, and then you just in your ears, and then you can tap to pause, double tap to skip, double tap your left ear to skip back. You just hold it to volume up, volume down. The sound is brilliant, and because they're so small, they either live in my pocket or in my backpack, and I just take them everywhere with me. I was on a train yesterday for about 3 hours, and I usually, before this, I was using like wireless headphones to go over your head. And I just stopped carrying them places with me because they're just quite big and bulky and took up room in my backpack. So just love that these are small. Oh, and also the case charges them. So you get about 4 hours out of the earphones themselves, and then you put them back in the case for a little while and they charge up again, and you get 2 extra uses, and then you just charge the case. They're genius. Like them a lot. I have been using the Oculus Rift again, and I'm obsessed all over again. So I stopped using it for maybe about 3 or 4 months because I broke my computer. So it's connected to a PC. And one thing I've discovered is that if you have an Oculus Rift and you also have people in your house and you also have alcohol in your house, it's really fun to play when you've had a few drinks. However, that way accidents happen. Because the basic rule with Oculus is that you keep your feet cemented and you sort of twist and lean, and you don't kind of run around the place. Hard to tell people that when they've had a few drinks, and basically you've got the headset on but it's connected to a long wire that runs to the PC. Somebody was using it after a few drinks and pulled, like jumped back when a monster jumped at them, and the PC sort of fell and the hard drive broke and I just couldn't get it working. And the PC I have is one of those ones that is kind of all set up. You can't change bits. You're not supposed to. It's kind of like it's all concealed in a case. But it was broken. So I got my little brother-in-law over, who's 16, and I was like, well, the thing's broken anyway, so if you want to sort of see how it works, feel free to open it up and get a new hard drive and swap it over. He did it, and it's great. I did, however, find 17 screws the following day. So I think what he's done is taken all the screws out, put the new hard drive in, and then just put the PC back without screwing things back together. So I've decided now that as long as I don't touch the PC, it's fine. Anyway, Oculus is brilliant. I've been playing 2 games. I've been playing a game called Valkyrie, where you're basically in this sort of spaceship, but a small sort of fighter pilot ship. And you've got loads to choose from, and you're flying, and it just feels like you're flying. You've got the little controllers here, so you can roll and tilt, and you're in kind of virtual reality space, and it's brilliant. However, it's very difficult, and I find myself getting frustrated because I get shot so often, because people are so good at it, and I just I like cruising, and I like sort of flying in between objects and stuff, because it feels like you're really flying. But as soon as someone starts shooting at me, I panic, and then I blow up. The other game I've been really enjoying, and I haven't actually played it a great deal because I only got it last night, is called, I think it's called Arkitika 1, and you're basically, it's some dystopian future thing. There's like an Iceland, and you have to shoot bad guys, but also monsters that come at you. And the array of guns you have to choose from is mental, and they're all like futuristic guns. So people hide behind cover, but you've got this gun that you can sort of focus on them and then aim the other way, and the bullets sort of go around. It's cool. It's so different to playing with a controller where you're just playing on your TV, because you've got people coming from behind you, they come from the side, you just have to sort of look around, and it's brilliant. Anyway, they are my favourites for February. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope maybe I've whetted your appetite for a few things. Thanks very much for watching, and I will see you very, very soon. Goodbye.